and dreams are built to last. Drivers ready, hearts are strong. Victory feels like a song. Wheels they spin, rubber burns. Corners come and swiftly turn. Drivers ready, hearts are strong. Victory feels like a song. Wheels they spin, rubber burns. Corners come and swiftly turn. Race to the finish line. Feel the rush, it's time to shine. Pushing metal, pure and fine. In this premium racing grind. Race to the finish line. Feel the rush, it's time to shine. Pushing metal, pure and fine. In this premium racing grind. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Grind. Uh-oh. Racing grind. Pit crew ready, tools in hand. Every second by a strand. Fuel and tires, quick change. Back to track and destined range. Pit crew ready, tools in hand. Every second by a strand. Fuel and tires, quick change. Back to track and destined range. Race to the finish line. Feel the rush, it's time to shine. Pushing metal, pure and fine. In this premium racing grind. Race to the finish line. Feel the rush, it's time to shine. Pushing metal, pure and fine. In this premium racing grind. Uh-oh. Grind. Uh-oh. Racing grind. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Race to the finish line. Feel the rush, it's time to shine. Pushing metal, pure and fine. In this premium racing grind. Race to the finish line. Feel the rush, it's time to shine. Pushing metal, pure and fine. In this premium racing grind. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Racing grind.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in as we get ready to rock and roll here from Homestead-Miami Speedway. It is the premium stock car racing league here this afternoon, ready to rock and roll, ready to rumble, and we will get ready for our 5th playoff race, another elimination race, meaning that 2 drivers here this afternoon will unfortunately load up their rides and they will head home and they will no longer be a part of our championship fight. 6 drivers will be left to duke it out next week and the week after that until we go to our final 4 in a few weeks from now. So the action's coming to a close here, but things are just starting to heat up. The intensity is just starting to build as these drivers get ready to rock and roll. They get ready to rumble out there onto the racetrack. We got about 6 minutes or so left here of practice. So we're going to go over some of these point standings, where drivers are kind of sitting, what they're looking like here coming into this race. So it's a little small, but hopefully you guys can get a good look at this. We might have to make this a little bit bigger for you guys here. So let me take a look here. Let's make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see the name just a little bit better there. There you go. Maybe we'll see that a little bit better. So Matthew Wood coming into the night, a good points lead here in this one. But Brian Underwood, the only driver already to lock his way in to the next round of our playoffs. So Underwood is already through. He is moving on, and he is good to go. But Applegate, Jordan Hand, Landon Burbidge, Dylan Carrier, and Josh Crider and Chris Stange all kind of right there together. They're all pretty tight except for Stange. Stange is about 16 points back of Joshua Crider, and he needs a couple more points here. He needs to be able to move up to try to work his way into the next round of the playoffs. And unfortunately, I'm not sure if Chris Stange has loaded into the sim yet or not, but his evening may be done. But you'll take a look at that, that 7th and 8th place driver down there, or the 7th and 6th place driver. That is the battle for that final spot in our championship to move on into the third round here. And they're only separated, I believe, by a point here, ladies and gentlemen. Only separated by a point, and the points are very, very tight. When you take a look there between, basically between 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, they are all very, very close together. They are all very tight in that point battle. And all it takes is one bad break, one bad run, and all of a sudden you could be on the outside of the playoff bubble looking in and seeing these drivers maybe finish off a good race, and you being back deeper in the field may be eliminated here this afternoon. So it's going to be some trying times. It's going to be very nerve-wracking racing here for Applegate, Jordan Hand, Landon Burbage, Dylan Carrier, and Josh Crider and Chris Steen here this afternoon. Matthew Wood coming in with a pretty solid point lead here, not only between himself and Brian Underwood, but a pretty good point lead between himself and Dylan Carrier and Joshua Crider. And I do believe mathematically he's going to make it into the next round no matter what. He came in with a huge point gap with his bonus points that he accumulated throughout the previous races, and being able to use those maybe here tonight could basically finish in the last place position and still transfer through to our round of 6 next Saturday. So he's looking good. Brian Underwood picking up the win last week. He's locked in. He doesn't have to worry too much about anything here tonight, except for maybe trying to go out and earn more of those bonus points to help him through the next round as well. But Applegate, Hand, Burbage, Carrier, and Crider all going to be pretty nervous out there on the racetrack. Chris Stange is going to have to do a lot of work to try and get his ride into the next round of the playoffs. As drivers out there on the racetrack, their practice session slowly but surely coming to a close, and we're going to get closer and closer. We're going green flag racing here, ladies and gentlemen. So welcome in. If you haven't already, make sure you guys do us a favor. It's absolutely free to do and helps us out a ton. Smash that like button on the broadcast. If you're watching over on Facebook, if you're watching over on YouTube or Twitch, Twitch doesn't have a like button, but YouTube and Facebook, they do have like buttons. Hit the like button, hit the share button if you're feeling really generous, and make sure you hit that subscribe button. Become part of the Peacemaker family here today. And let us know in the comment section right now who you're cheering for. Who do you want to see up in victory lane here this evening? Is it going to be one of our playoff drivers? Is it going to be one of the drivers no longer in the playoffs here? Will we see someone like Aiden Lucas or maybe Gaston, Connolly, Hovarth maybe work their way into victory lane here this evening and taking away an opportunity for one of those playoff drivers to win their way in to the next round and make them have to duke it out here on those points this afternoon. As practice coming to a close, we will get ready here in just a few more moments for our qualifying session. So qualifying is about to get underway, but at this moment in time, we're going to ask you guys to please rise and remove your hats as we are going to get our national anthem here. Brought to you by Landon Burbage of the number 2 Chevrolet. Burbage coming in, giving us the national anthem here this afternoon. Alrighty, shout out there to Landon Burbage coming in with our national anthem here this afternoon is qualifying, getting underway here in our elimination race, our second elimination race here of the playoffs. 2 more drivers will be eliminated here this afternoon. 6 will work their way in to our next round as we do see Ryan Haller hopping out there onto the racetrack, one of our playoff hopefuls there, and our national anthem artist here this afternoon is the Prince's Towing and JBDesigns.com. Number 2, Landon Burbage. Burbage rolling out there onto the racetrack. He is ready to rumble here this evening. William Connolly right out there as well in the Maxwell House, number 25. Right, Danny White in the Jack Daniels machine, just coming off of pit road. He will roll out onto the racetrack. Same with the 88, the Premier Racing Setups, and number 88 machine of Dylan Carrier. Carrier out there on the speedway, the M&M's ride. Another one of our playoff hopefuls here this afternoon, looking and hoping to work his way with that Toyota Supra into the next round of our Premium Stock Car Racing League playoffs here this evening. As right now, Landon Burbage with the quick time here of 33.51, a pretty good lap time right there for the qualifying session. A great lap for the number 2 machine. Dylan Carrier will slide into second here. Noah Blackwell in the Premier Racing Setups number 9 ride will jump into position number 3 out here on the speedway. Aiden Lucas there in 4th as Noah Blackwell's going to jump up and take that top spot. So Blackwell now at the quick time here in qualifying, a 33.43. Scott Healy will slide into second here in the Coca-Cola Axe Energizer number 64 ride. He slides into that second spot with a 33.49. Dylan Carrier, second lap, going to find a little extra speed. He will almost virtually tie the 64 ride with a 33.49 as well. Burbage now back to 4th. Aiden Lucas into 5th. Josh Crider in the Energizer number 5 ride. Now the 6th fastest out here in the qualifying session. Scott Healy, though, with the quick time. The 64 ride to the top of the charts here in qualifying. Scott Healy with a 33.42 will knock Noah Blackwell out of that pole position, and Healy will now jump into that number 1 spot. Melvin Brengruer, he's out there on the racetrack in the EA Sports number 84 ride, currently 12th fastest. Here comes Grant Applegate in the beautiful Red Bull number 57 machine. Matthew Wood out there as well as Thomas Horvath, as there's Horvath in the M&M's NJB Designs number 54 ride, and we do see Matthew Wood with the quick time. A blazing fast lap there for Mr. Wood, as Matthew Wood now at the top of the speed charts, knocking Scott Healy out of the top spot as Healy slides back to second. Matthew with a 33.35 will now put himself into the pole position. Horvath up into position number 10 here with his qualifying effort. Brengruer into 12th as Grant Applegate. See where he slides in here for his first lap out there on the racetrack. He's going to jump into that 12th position of 33.85. He's going to be looking for a little bit more speed out of his car as Brian Underwood in the Gaston's iRacing Graphics ride. He will slide out onto the racetrack. Still waiting for Nathan Brookover, Paul LaCourte, and Jonathan Gaston all to qualify here in this one as well. As ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you guys are tuning in, make sure you guys hit that like button. Hit that share button, hit that follow and subscribe button, as these drivers are getting ready to put on one absolutely wild show for us here this afternoon. And it is that 6th machine of Brian Underwood, who's already locked his way into the next round of our playoffs. He's already worked his way in to the 3rd round of the Premium Stock Car Racing League playoffs here this year. After his big win last week, was able to propel himself, up and through the field and getting that top spot to lock his way straight on in, and not having to sweat, not having to worry about points or about anything here this evening for this one, as he can take it a little easy, as he did not get a qualifying lap in. He will start back in about the 16th position. Same with Gaston, LaCour, and Brooke overall yet to qualify, so they'll all start deeper in the field. This driver is going to get ready to jump out onto the racetrack. They're going to get ready to go green flag racing here in just a few more moments. Is what we're going to do is we're going to get our opening invocation here from Lonnie Crider. Is Lonnie going to come in and give us the opening commands here this afternoon for drivers to start their engines and get ready to rock and roll?
It's another Saturday night, and some of you guys have been racing in the dark out there. It's pretty dark out there right now. That's why I got these sunglasses on. I can't see nothing. I think some of you can't see nothing how to drive out there. It's point championship still going on. Gentlemen, start your engines and let's go racing.
Alrighty, give it up there for Lonnie Crider. As Crider coming in, giving us the opening command here this afternoon. That means we will get ready to rock and roll. We will get ready to rumble here with our A-main feature event. Our A-main for the Premium Stock Car Racing League is about to get underway here this afternoon. And starting on the pole in the number 16 ride, it's the Racers for Christ machine. That is Matthew Wood, who will start in the pole position. To his outside, in that Target Camaro, that is the 64, Scott Healy. Healy will start there in that second position. And we see a pair of teammates back there in row number 2. It's Noah Blackwell and Dylan Carrier in their Premier Racing setups. Rides there in that third and fourth position. Landon Burbage in the Prince's Towing number 2 machine will start in position number 5. To his outside in the Beyond Detailing number 77 machine, that is Aiden Lucas. And then we see Jordan Hand in the 57 of Grant Applegate there in 7th and 8th. Bringing up the inside, our row number 5 is the 54 and Thomas Horvath. To his outside will be the number, let me double check here, the 5 ride of Josh Crider, rounding out our top 10 here in this one. And then we see the number 25 of William Connolly. He will start in position number 11. The 99 ride of Ryan Haller will start there to his outside in the 12th spot. Then we see the 84 ride of Melvin Brenger will start in 13th. To his outside is the 79 of Danny White. And then we see Farrell Robbins, Brian Underwood, and Paul LaCour back here in the 17th spot. Jonathan Gaston in the beautiful looking Gaston's iRacing graphics. The G-Man in the 72 ride starting back here deeper in the field, and same with the Gaston's iRacing graphics Premium Stock Car Racing League number 8 ride of Nathan Brookover, as we have 19 drivers ready to go to battle here this afternoon, as we will end all the anticipation with our feature presentation as we are quickly green flag racing here from Homestead-Miami Speedway. Homestead-Miami Speedway, the home of these drivers here this afternoon. And quickly, it's Matthew Wood out in front, who will lead us down through 1 and out of 2 and take us down the back straightaway for the first time here this afternoon. Leading Scott Healy, Noah Blackwell in the rest of our field here in this one is Matthew Wood, nice and easy out at corner number 4. He's looking to lead lap number 1, but Scott Healy looking for a run right there behind him, trying to use maybe a little bit of draft, a little bit of drag off that back bumper of that 16 machine, trying to work his way to the front of the field. But it's Matthew Wood who does lead lap number 1. So Wood out in front, Healy there in second, Noah Blackwell there in that third spot on the speedway. Then we see Landon Burbage up 1 spot early on. He's able to work himself around Dylan Carrier there for the 4th position, as Carrier slides back to position number 5. Aiden Lucas there in 6th, with Jordan Hand back in 7th. Josh Crider trying to work himself up and through the field here. Crider knows that he's that driver, one of the drivers on the outside looking in here to make it into the next round of the playoffs. He knows he needs to perform here this afternoon. He needs to make sure he gets these stage points, and he needs to make sure that he can finish this race off on a good note to try to work himself into the next round of our playoffs. It's going to be very interesting to see what the Rumbered Up Productions number 5 ride can do here throughout the evening, as one of those drivers that he's chasing for the championship right here in front of him. That is Jordan Hand in the Optic Texas ride there in position position number 7, and right behind Crider is the 57 of Grant Applegate. Applegate blinking out there on the racetrack pretty good already in this one, so drivers will have to be very, very cautious about that 57 and the blinking here on the speedway. Unfortunately, last week a couple drivers fell victim to that bit of blinking and the net code off the 57 ride, one of those being Kevin Winker. Winker definitely having a good run, a solid performance, and then the 57 started to blink, unfortunately, underneath of the beautiful number, can't remember what number Winker was running, but Winker unfortunately goes around and gets up into the outside fence. Heavy damage for him last week, and unfortunately that little bit of net code, that little bit of blinking that the 57 ride had going on, unfortunately ended the night there for Mr. Winker, but he actually was able to battle back pretty good in that race and finish it off with a half-decent finish compared to what it could have been. It could have been a very, very bad finish for Winker, but he was able to keep it going. As now we see out in front, it's Scott Healy. Healy able to take that race lead away from Matthew Wood. Wood sliding backwards here. Wood now into position number 4 out here on the speedway. So Matthew Wood starting to slide backwards after pushing early on, and we do see Scott Healy out in front. We came into this race and a lot of these guys, a lot of the drivers were talking about how good the 64 ride is going to be, how fast he actually was during that practice session, and you know, just how consistent he was with the quick laps as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what Scott Healy can do here, and if he can try to run away with this one, as Noah Blackwell back there in position number 2, Landon Burbage there in 3rd. And then we see Matthew Wood, Aiden Lucas, our top 5 is Dylan Carrier, slides back another spot into that 6th position. Jordan Hand, Josh Crider, Grant Applegate, and Thomas Horvath are rounding out our top 10 on the racetrack. William Connolly back in 11th with Ryan Haller there in 12th. Melvin Brangruer, Danny White, and Farrell Robbins rounding out our top 15 here on the speedway. And as we're talking about Farrell Robbins here, let's see if we can get a good look in and at this number 76 ride, see what he can kind of see from the cockpit here, and let's get a good look in, as we'll get a good shot here, a good image of Farrell Robbins in the cockpit. He's rolling out there on the racetrack. He's racing. He's trying to get himself into victory lane, or at least a good, solid run. He's almost a salt and vinegar Santa Claus up there. Is get a good look inside here of you know, what's going kind of through the mind of that 76 ride. You get to see him in this environment, in his surroundings. You get to see him using that wheel and rolling out here, not only on the virtual racetrack, but in the real life world as well. So now, absolutely amazing. Thank you there to all of our drivers who come in with the driver webcams. Give us this good look, give us this good perspective, and this is exactly what he is seeing. We're basically, you know, in the eyes of the 76 ride right now as he blinks a little bit right there. Luckily enough, he's not running into too much blinking out there on the speedway, but he's rolling back here in that 15th position. This really gives you a good perspective at, you know, what these drivers are seeing, what they're doing. You can see their hands and everything else moving along with this virtual steering wheel as well. So you can really see what they're seeing from their eyes and what's going through their mind, what their reactions are, what they're trying to do, maybe leaning a little bit, trying to get that car to turn, maybe, you know, more chilled, relaxed, driving one-handed, or just you know, just focused up, lasered focus here in this race, trying not to make any mistakes, trying to work their way closer and closer to the front of the field as he rolls in onto the back bumper here of the 79 right up Danny White right there in front of him. But huge shout out right here to Farrell Robbins and all of our drivers that come in here with the driver webcams, man. We can't thank them enough, man. It's absolutely amazing having all these driver webcams, being able to see these drivers, get a good look at some of them here. You know, you see Noah Blackwell, you see Josh Crider, Dylan Carrier, you know, Farrell Robbins, Landon Burbage in there. I believe that is Jaden Porter, I do believe the other one in there, as well as Mr. Farrell Robbins as well. So you get a good look, a cool perspective here at these drivers. They all kind of got some different webcams, different angles, different shots there, giving you different looks at what they're doing here and how they're maneuvering around the racetrack and how they're trying to keep themselves immersed in the racing culture and some of the stuff that they have in their surroundings around them and everything else, as some of them are in closets, some of them are in bedrooms or living rooms, and some of them have complete gaming rooms that they're just chillaxing in, relaxing in, and getting the job done here this afternoon. So huge shout out there to all of our drivers with the driver webcams here this afternoon, as out in front, Scott Healy continuing to lead the way here in that 64 ride, out to about a 1.5 second advantage now between himself and the number 2 of Landon Burbage. Burbage has been working his way up here towards the front of the field as the Prince is towing number 2 ride there in that second spot on the speedway. He's trying to hunt down that 64 ride, but unfortunately he's losing a little bit of ground to him. That last time around was about 2/10 slower than our race leader Aiden Lucas there in third, having himself a great run here again in the Beyond Detailing number 77 ride. Noah Blackwell there behind him. Dylan Carrier still staying inside the top 5 here, is unfortunately Matthew Wood starting to slide backwards. Wood back into that 6th position, so our pole sitter on the slide back right here. He's moving towards the rear of the field in a quick hurry, and here comes Jordan Hand, Josh Crider, and we do see Grant Applegate, Thomas Horvath right there as well. The one driver that's up here currently inside the top 10 but is not a part of the top 10 is this 41 ride, the RR Racing Graphics number 41 of Paul LaCourte. Unfortunately for LaCourte, had an EOL and had to do a pass-through penalty due to some of his incident points. He unfortunately had to make that pass-through penalty on lap number 2, and that has put him a lap down, but currently is the only driver a lap down. He's hoping to see that caution flag. He's hoping to see this, caution flag come out very quickly. We're hoping to be the only driver a lap down by the time that the first stage comes to a close on lap number 30. So if he's lucky, if no one else goes a lap down, this big of a racetrack is definitely a possibility that he may be the only driver a lap down by the time that first stage comes to a close, and he'll be able to get the free pass, the lucky dog, back onto the lead lap and right back into contention here this afternoon, as we do see Thomas Horvath trying to work his way now around Josh Crider. Crider going to slide back into that 9th position here. It's kind of what we saw at the 5 ride last week as well. Started off pretty strong, started the race off, started the stages off on a good note, trying to work his way towards the front of the field, and then later on that car really started to seem to struggle out there. And right now the Rubber Dog Productions ride sliding now back into the 9th position, and Grant Applegate right there trying to reel him in. Applegate knows that he would love to try to take another point away here from Josh Crider, and for Crider being one of those drivers on the outside of our playoff bubble, he came into the night for Josh Crider being that driver that was 1 point outside of a transfer spot into the next round of our playoffs. He has to come in here, he has to perform, has to do a great job and earn as many stage points as possible and finish this race off on a good note, or even win this race to lock his way into the next round of the playoffs here. And so far, starting to slide backwards here. He's really got to hope to try to either keep pace with Dylan Carrier and some of our other playoff drivers, but a lot of them are all around him here on the speedway right now. It's going to be some tough sledding out there on the racetrack for that number 5 ride. Is a beautiful Saturday night for racing action, as Michael Scott Spencer, what's good, Michael? Michael says, hey brother, let me be your trainer for $40 million to face Tyson. We go 8 rounds for 2 minutes around. Listen, sign me up, brother, sign me up. Hey, I'll take a dive for 40 mil. I'll take a dive. I'll let him hit me in the chin and knock me the out. I'll take 40 mil for that one. 100%. Sign me up. Where's the contract? Sign me up right now. You deposit that into my bank account, and I will train as hard as possible for a year, 2 years, however long it may be. It could be for a week. I don't even care. I'll go in versus Tyson right now and let him beat the shit out of me, man, for $40 million. 100%. The hands down, though, we all knew that was going to happen. I mean, obviously, Jake Paul knew what he had to do. Is just keep moving away from him, keep the distance, just have those jabs in there. He had the more height, more length, and everything else, so he's able to make those body shots and everything. And obviously Tyson's not going to have that mobility, so he can just move away every time Tyson tried to start to really throw stuff. You know, he just kind of backed up and away from it. And I think that's really what you know, the whole game plan is there versus you know, Mike Tyson now. Obviously, Father Age is undefeated, man, and for a 58-year-old to be able to have the drive and the, you know, the want to go into the ring and fight again like that and everything else is definitely it's awesome to see. It's amazing to see. But reality, going up versus somebody that's 30, 31 years younger than you is not going to work out very well. It's, I mean, he could have caught it with one and got lucky with it, but we all knew that was probably going to happen. You know, we knew Tyson biting, not getting a big knockout on Jake Paul. It was going to go down to, you know, that decision, and it was going to go to his way because he's just going to be able to throw more punches, run around him, and hit more strikes and everything else, and that's how easy you get it done. Oh yeah, it was rigged. Yeah, I don't know if it was rigged. But I figured they probably both knew what was gonna happen, right? Like, it was basically the WWE, right? It was all for show. All the pre-conference stuff and everything else, all the conferences and everything that they did, and, you know, Jake stepping on a shoe, then Mike slapping him in the face, all that is just to sell tickets and draw more engagement and everything else. And Jake Paul knows that. If he was fighting somebody else, let's say Jake Paul was fighting me, nobody would care. Nobody would be watching that. But it was Mike Tyson. The only reason why that had so many views, why, you know, so many people were there in the stadium, it was because it was Mike Tyson. It wasn't because he was facing off versus Jake Paul. No one gives a shit about Jake Paul. They give a shit about Mike Tyson. Seeing Iron Mike Tyson back in the ring again, man. And, you know, no one was watching it because he was facing Jake Paul. Mike Tyson could be facing a goldfish in the ring again, and we all would have tuned in and watched it because it's Mike Tyson, so we watch it. But out here on the racetrack, we see Scott Healy. Healy continuing to lead the way here in this one. Healy doing a great job here at the front of the field as we're closing in on the end of first stage. Cody says, but I love Jake Paul. Come on, brother. Don't. Nobody loves Jake Paul except for Jake Paul and probably Logan Paul and his family, okay? But no. Come on now. Let's be honest here. Ain't nobody watching that shit because it's Jake Paul. No one's going about Jake Paul's record and how he should be fighting, you know, anybody he wants. Nobody gives a shit about him. Why do you think he's fighting all these retired guys and all these dudes that aren't even boxers or anything else, like Nate Diaz and stuff, and taking guys that are used to, you know, that are already older and worn out and everything else and will take a dive for money. Jake brother and Logan Paul, he's in the WWE. Exactly. Where do you think they get these ideas from and everything else, man? It was all scripted. They knew what was going on. They knew what was happening. It was all scripted. It was all for show, just like the WWE, 100%. And why do you think Mike Tyson called out Logan afterwards, right? Like, come on now. But out in front, Healy looking very, very strong here in this race. The drivers, you know, for a lot of them going into the Discord earlier before this broadcast got underway, the consensus was that this was going to be the car to beat here this afternoon, and Healy is showing that right now. He's out in front by over 2.5 seconds here on Landon Burbage. They're in position number 2. Aiden Lucas having a great run here in the Beyond Detailing number 77 ride as Lucas rolls there in that 3rd position. Then we see Dylan Carrier here in 4th. Jordan Hand back there in position number 5. Noah Blackwell, Matthew Wood, Thomas Horvath are top 8. Then we see William Connolly and Brian Underwood now inside the top 10, moving Josh Crider to the outside of the top 10 looking in. A tough break here for one of those drivers that needed all the bonus points that he could get here this afternoon to try to work his way into the next round of the playoffs here. And missing out on some valuable stage points could really hurt his chances, hurt his odds here this afternoon as Farrell Robbins back there in 12th, Danny White there in 13th. Melvin Brangruer back in 14th with Jonathan Gaston, our top 15 here on the racetrack is Ryan Haller, Grant Applegate, Nathan Brookover, our top 18, and then we see Paul LaCourte back here in position number 19 on the speedway. So LaCourte is back there in that 19th position, and currently the only driver a lap down. He's hoping to see the stage break in a quick hurry, hoping to try to get that free pass the lucky dog and get back onto the lead lap as he gets very sideways there out of corner number 4, able to hang on to it though and keep it rolling as out in front Scott Healy continues to lead the way. Now I do believe from what the drivers were telling us before this race is that the stages were going to be at lap 30 and lap 70. Underwood never messaged me earlier to tell me when the stages were. So I'm going to go off of that it's lap 30 and lap 70. So we should see the caution flag fly this time by the start-finish line here for our 10th place driver. We'll keep an eye on that as right now Josh Crider trying to work his way into that 10th position, gets up into the outside wall ever so slightly right there, trying to roll that outside rim and unfortunately just could not get there, and unfortunately now going to slide all the way back into that 12th position as Farrell Robin moves around and William Connolly going to stay in that 10th spot here on the speedway. Ryan Underwood now into 9th, so that's a tough break for Josh Crider. Now, the stages could be wrong. I think I might be wrong. They may have lied to me about these stage breaks, chat. I don't think it is actually lap 30. It may be lap 40. We'll have to keep an eye on it here when we see that caution flag. If it's not for incident, then we'll know what that caution flag is for. As out in front, Scott Healy, he's continuing to lead the way here, but that lead is starting to shrink. The 2-rider, Landon Burbage, starting to reel him in. So the 64-rider, Scott Healy, was out in front not too long ago, only a few laps ago, by about 2.5 seconds. But Landon Burbage has been closing that gap. Slowly but surely reeling this 2-rider, this 2-rider is reeling in our race leader here. And it could be a pretty good fight here at the front of the field in due time, as he's about 2 seconds back now of our race leader, Aiden Lucas and Dylan Carrier. Now duking it out here for that 3rd spot on the speedway. You do see the 41 ride right there. That's Paul LaCourte. LaCourte working his way up and through these drivers and around these drivers. LaCourte is one of those cats that's unfortunately a lap down on the racetrack right now, but since in that free pass position, and I think he may be getting a move on as Grant Applegate may be at risk of going a lap down here in a quick hurry. He's on the same straightaway here as our race leader, so Applegate could potentially be going a lap down. You see that car struggling out here on the speedway, and this is a tough break for another one of our drivers battling here this afternoon as Applegate all the way back in the 18th position. This is not where he wants to be right now, and he continues to slide farther and farther back, and our race leader is catching up to him in a quick hurry here. Is nice and easy down and out at corner number 4. We will click off another lap here, and Scott Healy, our race leader down across the line. Lap 34 off the board. Lap 35 now on top of the board here. So this race clicking down the laps in a quick hurry. These drivers put on one great show for us, man. Some great racing, and now we see Landon Burbage cutting another 1/4 of a second out of that race lead between himself and Scott Healy. Aiden Lucas was able to hang on to position number 3, but he's in a hornet's nest. Pair of teammates right there behind him, and here comes Dylan Carrier and Jordan Hand, both trying to work their way around the Beyond Detailing number 77 ride here in this one. As Aiden going to roll the outside lane. Down low goes the 88 and the 1 machine, both looking to try to draw door to door with the 77, trying to use a little side draft there to try to slow him down going into corner number 1. Unfortunately, could not get there, as there is the caution flag. So the caution flag in the air, and I do believe that this is going to be our stage break. So stage break number 1. You're in this one. It's Scott Healy picking up the stage win here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up here for Scott Healy as Healy picking up that first stage win of the afternoon. Landon Burbage, Aiden Lucas, Dylan Carrier, Jordan Hand, our top 5. Then we see Thomas Horvath, Matthew Wood, Noah Blackwell, Brian Underwood, William Connolly, our top 10 here in stage number 1, as we'll get ready to pull Scott Healy into the broadcast booth here for a quick little in-race interview. See if they come down pit side this time or not. We're not going to pull him in yet. As there you go. He is going to work himself down towards the apron here, and we'll see if he comes down pit lane. If he does, then we'll wait to pull him in. But if not, then we will get ready to pull him in here in just a few more moments. He comes down pit side. Yes, he's coming down pit road here. So we'll give him a quick little bit of a break here. We'll let him get down into his pit box and get his pit stop underway before we pull him up here for his in-race interview. But it's Scott Healy who picks up that Stage 1 win here this afternoon. A heck of a drive, heck of a run right there. We saw Matthew Wood able to lead the first few laps of this race until the 64 run was able to get around him and take that race lead away. Now Healy down pit side, same with the 16. He'll pull into that first pit spot on the racetrack. Our pole sitter getting that first pit box here on pit road, which can normally work you towards the front of the field a little bit. You can normally get some good runs coming into that corner, that short distance, getting back onto the loud pedal. Normally work yourself a couple spots better, but we'll have to wait and see if you can find some speed down on pit lane, as we do see Scott Healy come back out as the number 1 car. So Healy out in front. We're going to pull him up here into the broadcast booth. Hey Scott, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker broadcasting booth. Did you get a copy?
Yes, sir. What's up, man?
Now watch Scott, man, a great run and a great drive there in stage number 1. We saw you early on. You stayed in that second spot. Matthew Wood able to lead a few laps until you go up, take that race lead away from him, and you start to pull away from the rest of the field. But late in this stage, the 2 ride starting to hunt you down there a little bit. Landon Burbage was reeling you in slowly but surely. What was going on there late in this stage, and were you just trying to take it easy, trying to save that car a little bit, or were you starting to struggle out there?
At first I was just trying to save, and then I just pushed it way too hard. At the end, just the tires kind of fell off, and then I was just trying to manage it through. Kind of got really loose near the end of that stage. Thankfully, the stage came out and saved me a little bit, but the stage was not coming out. I think he would have caught up to me and passed me, but I'm gonna try to save my tires a little better this round.
Yeah, absolutely. The best thing about these stages, they can kind of learn what you need to do and can't do throughout these stages. And knowing that we were going to have another, 30, 35 lap run, you got a great idea of what you need to do to be able to try to pick up stage win number 2 on the evening, as well as the consensus coming into the Discord before this broadcast was that you're going to be the car to beat here this afternoon. Do you feel that way, or do you feel like there's someone back there that's going to be able to try to jump up and beat you here this afternoon?
Sort of. I think I got it, but Landon's starting to figure it out. He's starting to catch my speed a little bit. So I don't know. We'll see by the end of the race. We'll see where I'm at.
Absolutely. Well, Scott, congratulations on winning stage number 1. We hope to see you continue on rolling at the front of the field, and maybe see you back up here in the broadcast booth a couple more times here this afternoon.
Sounds good, my man. See you in a little bit.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, give it up there for Scott Healy. Scott out in front, continuing to lead the way here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. He's going to get ready for a good restart right here, looking to try to keep all these drivers back there at bay. But you heard it from him, getting a little bit loose, burning those tires up there a little bit throughout that run. So as we were talking, it's good to know that information, and even for some of these drivers that are tuning in and watching right now, to know that there's maybe a little chink in the armor of the 64 ride, and what you may need to do, what your game plan may have to be here to maybe beat that number 64 Scott Healy this afternoon. And good praise there to Landon Burbage, and well deserved there at the end of that stage as well, working himself up into that second spot, and then able to start to chip away at that lead. And he was getting there, man. I think if we had probably another 15, 20 laps there in stage number 1, that 2 machine might have had something there for Scott Healy, but luckily enough, Scott Healy sees stage number 1 come to an end, and he picks up that stage 1 win. Now, after some pit stops, these drivers are ready to go back. The green flag racing is down through the Geico restart zone. Healy has a great restart and quickly back onto the loud pedal here in stage number 2 of our premium stock car racing league, as Healy out in front. Aiden Lucas there in second as he tried to hold on and hold off Landon Burbage. Burbage back there behind him in that third spot. Now we see Jordan Hand, Noah Blackwell, our top 5. Dylan Carrier back there in the 6th spot with Thomas Horvath, William Connolly, Farrell Robbins, and Brian Underwood rounding out our top 10. But here comes Josh Crider. Crider trying to work his way back inside the top 10 here on the Speedway. Crider came into this race, one of those drivers that unfortunately was on the outside of a playoff spot looking in here. Let's see if we can get another look at these playoff positions here in this one. Let's see if we can get a good look at these. So take a good look there at the top of the board. So Matthew Wood virtually locked in on points here, and Brian Underwood locked in with his race win here last week. He was able to lock his way into the next round. But here tonight, 2 drivers will unfortunately be eliminated. We already know one of those. It is Chris Stange. He's Stange down at the bottom of that list there. Chris Stange, unfortunately, not in this race here this afternoon. And with him not being here in this elimination race and being at the bottom of the list, he will be eliminated here from the Premium Stock Car Racing League. But you see right above Chris Stange there, the bottom of the list, that is Josh Crider's name. Now, Crider came into this race only 1 point behind Dylan Carrier. Only a point behind Dylan Carrier, only a few points back behind some of these other drivers as well. So, like, he wasn't too far off here, but unfortunately missing out on some stage points there in stage number 1. Definitely going to hurt him here, just ever so slightly. Let's pull this over here. Let's see if we can get rid of the Lonnie Crider logo right there. There you go. Okay, there we go. We can get another good look at this. So you can see some of these points and everything else and what these drivers are having to do and deal with and everything else here. So as these points, you can kind of see on the far right-hand side, those are the points behind the next driver in front of them. But you take a look, the point settings are very, very tight between Landon Burbage, Jordan Hand, Grant Applegate, Dylan Carrier, and Josh Crider. Unfortunately for Crider, Dylan Carrier, Landon Burbage, Jordan Hand all had playoff points given to them there. They all had stage points to go to their advantage at the end of stage number 1 here this afternoon, where Josh Crider and that number 57 of Grant Applegate both missed out on some of those stage points. They both finished outside the top 10. They both did not earn those stage points, and unfortunately both are going to fall a little bit more below that cutoff line and move farther down towards that cutoff line. So I do believe with Applegate not getting any of those stage points, he may be closer and closer to being one of those drivers potentially eliminated here this afternoon. And if you're that 7th place driver, you know you got to get those points. You know you got to pick up some of these stage points and potentially pick up a win to move on into the next round. If you're that driver that's sitting in that 6th position, even 5th position, you got to make sure you have a great race and a great night and try to leapfrog those drivers in front of you. If you come home in that 6th spot, the driver in 7th wins the race, you're going to get leapfrogged and you are going to be out of the playoffs and they will be in. So it's when you're in for a lot of these drivers, but the points are very, very tight. So it makes things that much more intense, that much more interesting. Watching these drivers battle, duke it out, and see where they can be here at the end of the evening to maybe work their way into the 3rd round of our playoffs here this afternoon. As Josh Crider rolling back there in the 11th position on the outside of the top 10, looking in right now, maybe trying to take care of his equipment, trying to use them later in this run, waiting for everyone in front of him to maybe kind of settle back here as it's kind of how the first stage kind of went for him. You know, he kind of pushed a little bit through the middle and then started to fade away there late in that run. And as he did, he ended up going from, just inside the top 10 to outside the top 10. And unfortunately missing out on some of those very valuable points here this afternoon. And stage number 1 is out in front. We do see a new race leader here. Oh, baby, it is Aiden Lucas. Lucas able to jump up and make the move and pass Scott Healy. So Scott Healy slides back into position number 2. Here on the racetrack is Hayden Lucas in the Beyond Detailing. 77 right now to the front of the field. The 64 of Scott Healy back there in second. Landon Burbage there in third. And then we see Jordan Hand, Noah Blackwell, Dylan Carrier, Thomas Horvath, William Connolly, Farrell Robbins, and Brian Underwood here rounding out this top 10. But now we did hear Scott Healy talk about how he wanted to try to save these tires a little bit more, maybe take it a little bit easier here on his ride throughout this stage. So maybe with him taking it a little bit easier, not pushing as hard and running away with the race lead here in this stage, maybe he's allowed or slowed down enough here for Aiden Lucas to kind of jump out there, make that move, take this race lead away. But Aiden may be using up his equipment here quite a bit out there on the racetrack, maybe trying to push that car to its limits and using up a lot of those tires, trying to keep this 64 ride back there at bay and trying to keep himself at the front of the field. But a great drive nonetheless here for that Beyond Detailing number 77 ride. As ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're going to jump into a quick Peacemaker Gaming Crank It Up. I want you guys to do one thing for me here. It's hit that like button on the broadcast. And I want you to do one more thing for me, and that's crank it up as we crank it up here on Peacemaker Gaming. As we crank it up here this afternoon, crank up that volume and cheer on your favorite driver. give it up here for all these drivers. A beautiful crank it up session right there, giving us the sights and sounds around the beautiful Homestead-Miami Speedway. As out in front, it is the number 64 rider, Scott Healy. Healy back out in front here again this afternoon as he works that 64 to the front of the field. Everybody back there behind him try to hunt him down, try to work their way into victory lane here this evening. But Scott Healy continuing his dominant performance here this afternoon. As Healy out in front, Aiden Lucas there in second. Landon Burbage there in third, but reeling in that 77 ride. Aiden Lucas early on in this race, in this second stage, worked his way to the front of the field there, was able to take that second spot away from Landon Burbage, and was able to take the race lead away from Scott Healy, but maybe pushing early, burning up that equipment a little bit too soon here for the 77 right now. Starting to see those drivers that were a little bit more patient, trying to keep these tires underneath of them and trying to use them for later in the run, now starting to work their way around the 77 ride. As there goes Landon Burbage, there goes Jordan Hand now underneath the 77 ride. He's going to move into position number 3 as Aiden Lucas very, very loose there. You can see those tires starting to lose grip. He's struggling, trying to hang on to that 77 ride. Unfortunately, that car moving around quite a bit. He rolls down low, trying to block the 9 ride of Noah Blackwell. Blackwell trying to work himself into that 4th position here, looking for a good run off of quarter number 4 to try to catch up and get around this 77 ride. Dylan Carrier back here in the 6th position, looking to get some extra stage points and extra little bit of a gap here to try to move between himself and Josh Crider, as Crider came in only 1 point behind this 88 ride for our 6th and final transfer spot into the next round of our playoffs here this afternoon. As already Chris Stage being eliminated here this afternoon after missing this evening's race. Chris Stage is unfortunately eliminated here from the playoffs, but one driver still trying to work their way in, and one driver still yet to be known who will unfortunately be removed from our playoffs here this year. As Dylan Carrier trying to avoid being one of those drivers, we do see Josh Crider inside the top 10 here as he rolls in the 10th position, now trying to work himself in the 9th as he rolls around the outside of the Maxwell house. Mac Tools 25, Rhino William Connolly. Connolly slides back into that 10th position. Brian Underwood, Danny White right there as well. Farrell Robbins back in the 13th position with Jonathan Gaston and Ryan Haller. Our top 15, then we see Paul LaCourte back here in the 16th position, and Grant Applegate still struggling. This is going to be the 2nd stage in a row that Applegate may potentially miss out on some stage points here. It does look like our other playoff driver, Josh Crider, bound to try to at least earn a couple stage points here this afternoon with this 2nd stage run, and currently sitting in that 9th spot, but has to still hold off William Connolly, Danny White, Brian Underwood, and Farrell Robbins that are right back there behind him within striking distance. So we'll have to wait and see if Crider can pick up at least a few of those stage points, help him along here. But unfortunately, Grant Applegate, this is going to be 2 stages for the 57 ride to not be inside the top 10. He is struggling. Look at that car sideways out of quarter number 4. He is definitely struggling with that thing, and the caution flag will fly. So the yellow flag out here is stage number 2 going to come to a close here in this one. So stage number 2 coming to a close. Our top 10 is Scott Healy picking up back-to-back stage wins. So Healy with stage win number 1 and stage win number 2 here on the afternoon. And we see Landon Burbage there in 2nd, Jordan Hand in 3rd, and then Aiden Lucas back there in 4th. Noah Blackwell in 5th, Thomas Horvath in 6th, Dylan Carrier, Matthew Wood, and Josh Crider, our top 9. William Connolly back there in that 10th position. Rounding out our stage points here this afternoon as Danny White in 11th. Underwood there in 12th. He's already locked his way into the next round of the playoffs, so he doesn't really have to worry too much about stage points or points at all. He could have tried to get the stage win, maybe with some strategy, and been able to pick up some bonus points here for himself in the next round, but unfortunately not going to work out there in that one. But the night is yet to be done, and he could maybe pull off another big win here at Homestead and earn some extra bonus points that way. So here you go, driver's going to head down pit side. Here comes Scott Healy, our stage 1 and stage 2 winner right here on the speedway. So Scott Healy trying to do what most drivers try to do every single night, and that is be picture perfect out there on the racetrack, trying to win both stages and still trying to pick up the checkered flag here this afternoon. We'll have to wait and see if Healy can get it done, if he can get that job done here this afternoon and put himself into victory lane and play playoff spoiler here for all of those playoff drivers looking to try to win their way in to the next round of our playoffs, as Healy is going to be that first car once again off of pit lane. Landon Burbage will come in as our second place driver, and he will leave pit lane as our second place driver. So a good run right there for the number 2 Ryan, doing exactly what he needed to do after a tough run last week, not having the performance that he was hoping for. Landon, unfortunately, kind of slid quite a way in the points here. Came in to the first round, or into the second round of the playoffs with a pretty decent advantage, some pretty good points built up for himself, and then after a tough week last week, not where he wants to be right now if they're on the racetrack. Because let's see if we can, right now, today, he's in the right spot, but last week was not in the right spot. This week, need to have a very good, strong performance, and so far, he's been proving that he can be that driver. And let's see if we can get Landon up here into the broadcast booth here quick for a little in-race interview as our second place driver there in stage 1 and 2. Hey, Landon, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker broadcasting booth. Did you get a copy?
Yep, I got it.
Landon, man, a good first and second stage here after last week's catastrophic race. You knew that you needed the points. You needed to have a good run here this afternoon to try to points your way into the next round of the playoffs. But, you know, potentially picking up a win, putting yourself into that winner's circle, lock your way right in. Definitely a way to get it done here as well. Do you think you got an opportunity here tonight to not only continue this good run and your good fortune here at Homestead, but maybe putting yourself up into victory lane?
Yeah, I think I do got a good shot tonight, but man, Scott's super fast here, man. But I'm gonna try my best, try a good pit strategy, trying to slide through my box and stuff, just be precise with everything and try to be perfect and get a win.
Absolutely, brother. Well, good luck up there. Have some fun. I know you're getting ready to go back to Green Flag Racing, so I won't keep you up here. But Landon, good luck, and hopefully we'll see you back up here in the booth before the end of the night.
Yep, thanks, man.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, give it up there for our second place driver, the 2 ride, Landon Burbage. Burbage going to get ready here for this restart. We're going to look right in on this number 2 ride and give you a good look here as these drivers up through the gears here. Quickly, the 64 ride, though, going to pull out in front. Now, this is where things are going to get very interesting. This final stage, that was our final stage break. We've only had caution flags here so far this afternoon for those stage breaks on stage 1 coming to a close and stage 2 coming to a close. So we haven't had an issue with the driver going around or a couple cars coming together or anything for incident out there on the speedway. So this could be a very long green flag run as Landon Burbage trying to hunt down our race leader here in this one. He's currently rolling still in that second spot. The 64 wide, though, is Scott Healy out in front, leading the way here as drivers all battling in here on the racetrack. This is where you need to start to make some moves here, maybe try to put yourself into what could be a winning strategy here this evening. We see a few drivers trying to work their way through the field here. William Connolly, Thomas Horvath, both trying to work their way up and through the field. There's the 77 rider, Aiden Lucas. Unfortunately, Aiden all the way back here in the 10th position, sliding backwards in that ride here to start this final stage of the afternoon. Ryan Haller right there, and here comes Grant Applegate. Applegate in that 57 ride. I've seen Grant do some pretty crazy things before. We've seen him do some pretty crazy strategy moves here. And now with him not really carrying a lot of speed throughout that first stage and not really carrying a lot of speed throughout that second stage, maybe giving up on the stage points and maybe trying to play some strategy here for that 57 ride. Maybe trying to keep that car out on the racetrack for the first 70 laps or so of this race without putting on a fresh set of tires. Saving a set or two back there behind pit wall to start this race, where now he may have that extra set or 2 extra sets of tires here to start this round. That could be his game plan. That could be his move here this afternoon. Having that extra set back there behind pit wall could come in clutch later in this race to maybe propel him to the front of the field, give him that track position that he's been looking for. As you can see him starting to work his way around our 12th place driver, Ryan Haller. Haller going to move back to 12th here as Grant Applegate now into 11th. So some different strategy being played out here on the racetrack. Danny White there in 13th, Farrell Robin back there in 14th. And we see Paul LaCour, our last week's winner, and one of those drivers, the only driver locked into the next round of the playoffs mathematically. We know he's in because he won last week. The 6th of Brian Underwood back here in the 16th position. Jonathan Gaston back here in 17th, Nathan Brooke over there in 18th, and Melvin Brangruer unfortunately off the racetrack and no longer out there, so I'm not sure what may have happened there to the 84 machine as he is off the speedway. But out in front, we do see a lead change once again. It is Landon Burbage. Burbage now to the point. Scott Healy slides back to second, almost identical to what happened there at the beginning of stage number 2 as well. So stage number 3, maybe a little bit more of the same here, allowing these drivers to, find that extra speed, maybe roll around him, using up their equipment early in this run where he's trying to save some tire here, trying to keep this car underneath of him for later on in the run here, and where he can move back to the race lead and start to really open up that gap as everyone else behind him is starting to struggle. It seems like that car really comes alive, so we'll have to keep an eye on Scott Healy. But he talked about Landon Burbage and how he's really figured something out here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. He's starting to find that speed. He's starting to find that extra gear in the 2 ride. Now starting to show it here as he leads the way here this afternoon. Healy there in second. Matthew Wood now into that 3rd spot. So the Racers for Christ number 16 start to work his way up and through the field here. So that's good to see as he's right there in position number 3 on the speedway. And see if he can keep on marching towards the front here. See if Matthew Wood can earn himself another win on the season. But Jordan Hand there in 4th. He's looking for a win. I do believe his would be his first win here of the season. I know Jordan would love to get one here this afternoon. Same with Dylan Carrier and Josh Crider, as those 3 drivers, they're kind of in limbo right now. Same with Landon Burbage. They need to have a good run. They need to have a solid finish here this afternoon to try to work their way into the next round of the playoffs. Same with that 57 to Grant Applegate. As Applegate back here in that 11th position. I thought he was going to start working his way through the field a little bit quicker, but it's kind of stalled down just ever so slightly behind this 25 ride of William Connolly, and really hasn't moved that much forward throughout the field. But coming into this race, Dylan Carrier only had a 1-point advantage from that cut line. He came in 1 point above our 7th place driver, and that was Josh Crider. Now Crider has had a little bit of a rougher go here. Has not earned as many stage points, but he does get a piece of the 9 ride, and there's our first caution flag for incident. The 9 ride of Noah Blackwell goes around here. The Premier Racing Setups number 9 machine, Noah Blackwell, is going to go around. He is not going to be very happy about that one, as the 5 ride gets in there a little too deep, gets into his back bumper, and takes him around here on the racetrack. There's the contact right there, just gets into that back bumper. Unfortunately, takes him around. He goes for a quick little loop-de-loop. Luckily enough, avoids contact with any of the other drivers and avoids contact with the outside wall. So good break and good piece of luckiness right there. Is could have been a whole lot worse for the number 9 ride. He could have slammed into that outside wall pretty quickly. But you see these two battling quite hard here as the 9 ride. Let's see if we can play it back even farther. I think he gives him a shot here, going down through 3 and 4. Let's see if we can get a good look here as Blackwell going to get into corner 3 and 4. He's going to give a shot to the 5 and gets the 5 of Crider loose. He washes up the racetrack, able to catch that car and keep on rolling. Now Crider obviously probably not going to be very happy about that one. And then down into corner number 1, he's going to get a shot back here, and around goes Blackwell. And woo, baby, that was close to being a whole lot worse for the number 9 ride. That one could have ended his night in a quick hurry here. Let's take a look on board with the number 5 of Josh Crider here, as he's going to send it into the corner and get some payback. Let's actually take a look here at his hands when he's trying to save this car down through corner 3 and 4. So here, turning. There's the contact. He's able to catch that car, washes up a lane or so, but loses a bunch of momentum. And you see him visibly frustrated, wheeling it back and forth, trying to clean the tires off, and then just going to get in here a little deeper and unfortunately get back to his bumper and give him a little payback, and unfortunately give him enough payback to spin him around and bring our first caution flag for incident out here this afternoon. So a little bit of beating and banging, a little bit of frustration starting to boil over here this evening, as out in front and staying out there on the racetrack, not coming back down pit side, was Landon Burbage. So Burbage, Scott Healy, Josh Crider, Aiden Lucas, and Grant Applegate all going to stay out here on the racetrack. They did not come down pit side. The one driver that did come down pit side is the 16 ride of Matthew Wood. Wood came down pit road there, staying with Jordan Hand, Dylan Carrier, Noah Blackwell, William Connolly, Thomas Horvath, Farrell Robbins, and pretty much everybody else all coming down pit side there. Going to get some work and get some, I don't know if they took tires or not. That's a good question, but they may have taken some tires. I don't think they would have this early, but maybe just trying to use this as a little bit of fuel strategy, a little bit of fuel gameplay here for these drivers as they came down pit road. What is that? They were last down pit lane on lap 72 for our race leaders, and that was lap number 85. So it's a good gap, man. 13 laps difference of fuel could be make or break here on some strategies. Try to make it maybe on one more pit stop after this. Maybe some of these other guys that are still out here may have to come down 2 more times. So, and some interesting calls staying out, some interesting calls coming down pit road and giving up a little bit of that track position, and now sliding back a little farther, where we saw Matthew Wood up there battling in that 3rd position. Will now restart in that 6th spot. Same with this number 1 right at Jordan Hand and Dylan Carrier. They now go from inside the top 5 to all of a sudden inside the top 10, where they're back in 7th and 8th on the speedway. They got Connolly and Blackwell right there behind him. It's Blackwell in that 10th position. He's going to get ready to rock and roll, and we're going to have to keep an eye on him in that 5 ride of Josh Crider, as I'm sure Noah probably not happy that he got spun around, but an eye for an eye there between the two of them after that caution flag. Obviously, we saw the 9 ride get into the back end of the 5 machine of Josh Crider, move him up and out of the way, and then obviously Crider trying to pay him back there in corner number 1, and unfortunately getting a little bit too much of him and spinning that 9 ride around, but I'm not sure if Noah will see it that way or not. So it's going to be interesting to see these two work their way back towards each other here on the speedway. As Landon Burbage out in front, but here comes Scott Healy. Healy looking to try to work himself back to the race lead as he rolls down to the bottom lane, looking for a good run around that number 2 ride of Landon Burbage. As Healy, Burbage 1 and 2 on the racetrack. Aiden Lucas there in 3rd in that Beyond Detailing 77 ride. And you see Josh Crider, highest he's been here all evening long, into position number 4 on the racetrack. But here comes Matthew Wood. Wood going to steamroll around the outside of that number 5 ride. Now you see the 1 machine also trying to work his way around that 5 as well on the racetrack. Here comes Dylan Carrier as well, and right there you do see Noah Blackwell. Blackwell right there, and within striking distance here almost of that 5 ride again. So we're going to have to keep an eye on a pair of these drivers. Noah Blackwell, Josh Crider right there close together again on the speedway. So far nothing going crazy here between them, but you do see Blackwell going to be potentially the bigger man. He does move in front of him, but starting to wiggle right here, trying to entice that 5 ride once again, as unfortunately looks like Crider starting to struggle here. The older tires, the older equipment sliding backwards ever so slightly, as you do see some of the fresher tires starting to work in battle here with the other cats out there on the racetrack that did not decide to come down pit side. Now that's a bold strategy for them as well. They're going to lose a lot of time, potentially a lot of positions here on the racetrack during this run, but they may have that extra set of tires now behind pit wall as well, so they may have that in their back pocket for late in this race for Josh Crider, for Landon Burbage, Scott Healy. Having those extra tires back there behind pit wall could potentially put them into a winning strategy here late in this race. You do see Matthew Wood, that big run on the outside lane. He will jump up and take the race lead away. So we get a new race leader here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Matthew Wood now to the point here in this one as he takes it away from his teammate, Landon Burbage. Burbage there in position number 2, trying to hang on to it as here comes Jordan Hand, another one of those drivers with the fresh tires trying to work his way up towards the front of the pack here this afternoon. Healy trying to hang on to 4th as there's Aiden Lucas trying to hang on to position number 5 on the racetrack. Unfortunately, there goes the 88 ride. Dylan Carrier around him. Here comes the 9 as well, and Noah Blackwell trying to get around him there as well. Ryan Underwood now into 8th. Thomas Horvath now into 9th as Josh Crider slides all the way back now into that 10th position on the racetrack. William Connolly there in 11th with Paul LaCourte. Grant Applegate there in 12th and 13th. Danny White there in 14th. We see Farrell Robbins, Jonathan Gaston, Nathan Brookover, our top 17. Ryan Haller was just down pit side here, unscheduled pit stop there for the 99 run as he gets rolling back out onto the racetrack, currently in the 18th spot. Now going to be one of the first drivers a lap down on the racetrack, and Melvin Branger unfortunately out of this race, but we have another driver turnaround. The 88 rider Dylan Carrier goes for a loop-de-loop, heavy rear end damage here for Dylan Carrier, one of our playoff hopefuls here this afternoon. And our 4th caution flag of the day, our 2nd caution flag for incidents here this evening. Some couple drivers getting together here in this final stage. And right here you see the 88 and the 64. Oh, no. This looks like, I don't know if the 64 is trying to turn down or if the 88 ride just gets in there a little too deep and cannot get that car to turn and washes up the racetrack over the nose of that 64 machine. Let's take a look at it here. Another angle, another look at it. There goes the 88 ride, and maybe a little neck code right there, honestly. I'm going to chalk that one up right there to neck code. Obviously running tight together, but virtually make contact, and you see the gap between them, and that car just goes around over the nose of the 64, slams up into the outside fence. I'm going to say that's a little bit of net code right there on iRacing's behalf. So unfortunately for Dylan Carrier, iRacing coming in and striking him here in this one. That's a tough break there for the 88 ride. He's going to come down pit road. He's going to be looking to get some fuel, some tires, and some repairs here, and hope to get back out there onto the racetrack as a lot of drivers headed down pit side. A lot of drivers staying out here as well. We do see Scott Healy, Landon Burbage, both on their way down pit road here. Aiden Lucas, Josh Crider also down on pit lane, but we see Ryan Underwood staying out here. So Underwood stays out. Thomas Horvath also staying out. Same with William Connolly, Paul LaCourte, Danny White, Jonathan Gaston, and Nathan Brookover all staying out here. Now going to move up inside the top 7. So some different strategies playing out in this one. This is going to be interesting to see. This is going to be interesting to watch how this is all going to play out here in this one. We got a lot of different drivers now on different strategies here on the Speedway as we get ready to go back to Green Flag Racing. We'll get these drivers stacked up, racked up, and ready to go back to battle here in just a couple more moments. As I'm going to be right back, we're going to get a quick little break in here, and then we're going to get into our action here once again in just a few more minutes.
Everybody, engines roaring loud and proud. Track is hot, fans are wild. Speeds are climbing high and fast. Racing dreams are built to last. Drivers ready, hearts are strong. Victory feels like a song. Wheels they spin, rubber burns. Corners come and swiftly turn. Drivers ready, hearts are strong. Victory feels like a song. Wheels they spin, rubber burns. Corners come and swiftly turn. Race to the finish line. Feel the rush, it's time to shine. Pushing metal, pure and fine. In this premium racing grind. Race to the finish line. Feel the rush, it's time to shine. Race to the finish line. Feel the rush, it's time to shine. Pushing metal, pure and fine. In this premium racing grind. Race to the finish line. Feel the rush, it's time to shine. Pushing metal, pure and fine. In this premium racing grind. Oh, grind. Oh, racing grind. Oh,
Alrighty, as we get ready to go back to green flag racing. Out in front, it's Brian Underwood who leads the way here in this one. Horvath, Connolly, LeCourt, Danny White, Jonathan Gaston are top 6 here on the racetrack. Jordan Hand, the first driver, back down pit road on lap number 95 here. He's going to have to try to work his way through the field team with everyone else back there behind him as the green flag back out into the air. The 6 of Brian Underwood now leading the way here under the green flag conditions at Homestead-Miami Speedway. So Underwood out in front looking to try to pick up back-to-back wins and maybe put this 6th ride back into victory lane here this afternoon. But here comes that 54 of Thomas Horvath. Horvath looking to try to work himself around that 6th ride and taking this race lead away. Door to door down across the line. I do believe we'll give that one to Thomas Horvath as our new race leader here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. So the NJP Designs number 54 rider Thomas Horvath now out in front is Underwood. They're in second, but here comes some of those other drivers. Now we're just back down pit road. Noah Blackwell into the 5th position. Here comes Sky Healy. Healy already working himself around. And look out! Grant Applegate gonna run into issues. Oh, baby, Applegate sideways on the racetrack. The caution flag will come back out here in this one. So the caution flag back out onto the racetrack here as it looked like the 54 sideways there through corner number 3 and 4, and a little 3-wide battle, and back there behind we see some rubbing and scrubbing, and unfortunately some contact right there between the 57 and the 1 where I see Crider right there. He tries to go up the racetrack and through it, unfortunately gets into the side of the 2 of Landon Burbage, and unfortunately gets a good piece of this 57, and it's Applegate sideways on the racetrack, getting pushed here by the 5 of Crider. That's what's going to bring our caution flag out here this afternoon, and some pretty good damage there to 2 of our playoff contenders here this afternoon, and not what Applegate was looking for here in this one. As Applegate, man, this is a tough break for him, as he unfortunately did not get any stage points in stage 1 or stage 2. Now running into issues here in our final stage of the day in this 57 ride. Not having the run he was hoping for here at Homestead-Miami Speedway, and he may be one of those drivers now in a bubble position here. Really, potentially, could be at risk of being eliminated from the playoffs here this afternoon if he doesn't turn things around in a quick hurry, as him and that 5 rider Josh Crider both kind of right there potentially on the bubble now, with the 57 not getting any stage points and Crider only getting a couple of them. It could be very tight here for that 6th and final transfer spot, that 6th and final playoff position here after tonight, where we already know Chris Stage is going to get eliminated. One more driver will join Chris Stage here in being eliminated from our playoffs here this afternoon, as we're going to get ready to go back to green flag racing here in just a few more moments. These drivers will get ready to go back to battle. They'll get ready to duke it out here once again, as we saw Scott Healy right there drive from outside the top 10 inside almost the top 5 there in that short little stint, and he's looking to continue his run towards the front of the field, as we'll have to wait and see if he can try to get back to the front, see if he can find his way to the race lead here this afternoon, as we're going to get these drivers stacked up again, and we're going to get ready to go back to green flag racing in just a few more moments. Another trip around track side, and then we'll go back to green flag racing here in this one. As ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you guys are just tuning in and you haven't already, please do us a favor. It doesn't cost you anything. It helps us out a ton here on the broadcast. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that follow and subscribe button, as we're going to get ready to go back to green flag racing here this afternoon. We're going to get ready to set these drivers back loose and go back to battle here in this evening's race, man. This has been a good one so far. A lot of fun, a lot of back and forth, a lot of good battling, and a lot of good fun out there on the speedway. And we've had some pretty cool looks, some pretty cool perspectives here of all the drivers and what they're doing out there on the speedway, and not only what they're doing here in the virtual simulator, but what they're also doing here in their gaming rooms and their living rooms, their bedrooms. You see them all kind of stretching right here. You see them all kind of stretching, relaxing a little bit. Some of them just still focused up. You look at Dylan Carrier, he's locked right in. You see Landon, he's trying to stretch and getting itching out. Same with Farrell and the number 9 ride of Noah Blackwell. They're all kind of trying to, just keep themselves focused here on this restart. Oh, there's Noah's wave right there. There's Noah's wave looking like Tom Hanks there. Forrest Gump seeing Mr. Lieutenant Dan on the dock, giving him the big wave. Hey, giving a big wave. There's Crider, his turn. There's his turn. I'm just kidding. But good to see all these drivers coming in, giving us good looks here at what they're doing out there on the racetrack. As he's just show off his T-shirt. I don't even know if I want to read that out loud. I don't think I'm going to. Hopefully, if you guys can see, you guys can read it. But I'm not going to read that out loud. As we're going to get ready to go back to green flag racing here in this one. All these drivers, they're having some fun here this afternoon. They're having a good time. Good to see Crider's spirits are still up, even though his playoff opportunity may be coming to a close here in a quick hurry out there on the racetrack. Things are looking bleak for the number 5 ride, but he's sticking with it, trying to keep his spirits up, and hopefully we'll see him maybe pick up a win or work himself to the front of the field if Applegate continues to have a tough run here this afternoon. Maybe that 5 ride can leapfrog the 57 and keep himself a part of our premium Stock Car Racing League playoffs here this afternoon. Is out in front, Thomas Horvath. Another big restart, another big run right there. As down through the Geico restart zone, he was able to open up that lead and start to pull away from that 6th ride of Mr. Brian Underwood. Underwood, another one of those playoff drivers, but good news for Brian. He doesn't have to worry about points here this afternoon. He doesn't have to worry about getting stage points. He doesn't have to worry about any of that. He can try to win this race, earn himself some bonus points towards the next round. But right now, Brian Underwood, he is locked in. He's virtually the only driver locked into the next round of the playoffs. But I suppose you could probably count the number 16 of Matthew Wood. I think Matthew came into this race with a big enough points lead and earning some of those stage points and everything else. I think Matthew has mathematically locked his way into the playoffs. And we see more contact. Couple drivers down the racetrack. Unfortunately, that's Danny White. Heavy damage there for him and one of our playoff drivers. The 2 rider Landon Burbage going with them there. And at corner number 2 and down onto the apron. No caution flag on the racetrack. No yellow flag here on the speedway. As unfortunately for Landon Burbage, that puts him all the way back here now into the 17th spot here on the speedway. This is a tough break for the number 2 machine. He's going to have to try to rebound from that one, as he definitely did not need that to happen. Let's see if we can take a look back and see what happened between the two of them out here on the racetrack. Let's take it back to the green flag restart here and watch this number 2 ride in the 97. Let's see where this contact may have been. You see Danny White, he's restarting a couple rows in front into the outside of this 2 ride. He's in the Jack Daniels number 79 ride as we ride on board here with Landon Burbage. Landon down low, trying to work himself underneath of Jordan Hand, and then you see the 79 to the outside. Where was that contact right there? Maybe it's the next lap around. I didn't think it was that far from the green flag. I thought that was right there, but nonetheless, here he is on the back bumper of the 79 ride. Trying to figure out a way to get around Danny White, hoping to see if he can get White to go in a little too deep and wash up the racetrack. Now he's going to try to work the middle, get a big run off of corner exit here, trying to set him up, and unfortunately, as he does that, you do see the rear end of the 79 ride starting to slide out from him here. And as he's sliding, and going sideways. They may look cool, but it does not go fast. As you're sideways, you're getting no forward drive, and that slows you down here. Unfortunately, as the 2-Ryan coming onto the throttle, he's going to get a piece of the 79, help him go around, and he just washes down the racetrack and hard into that inside wall there for Danny White. A tough break there for Danny. Let's see if we can jump on board and watch the hands here of the number 79 ride of Mr. Danny White and see what he can see here coming through corner number 2. That rear end starts to go around. You see him trying to counter steer it, and then the contact, and unfortunately just that little nudge was enough to keep that car going and shoot down the racetrack and hard into that inside wall. And unfortunately, not only does that hurt his opportunity here this afternoon to have a good run, but it's also really going to put the 2-Ride into a bad position here as Landon now finds himself back here in the 15th position. He hasn't been able to gain too much ground, but he was able to move around Nathan Brookover and Ryan Haller. The 2-Ride desperately looking for a caution flag, hoping to see something happen here on the speedway to put himself back together with the rest of this field and tighten this back up. As out in front, Thomas Horvath leads the way, but here comes Scott Healy. Healy did not take long for him to work himself back inside the top 3 here on the speedway, and now into that second position. He's working to the back bumper of our race leader, Thomas Horvath. Horvath trying to hold him off here, but unfortunately that 64 ride so strong this afternoon, it's going to be tough to keep him back there at bay as the 64 and 54 go door to door down into corner number 3 on the speedway. A good middle of the corner there for Horvath, but unfortunately looks like corner exit is where that 64 ride really comes alive there. But so far, good battle here for our race lead. You do see the 6 ride and Brian Underwood right there behind them. Noah Blackwell into position number 4. William Connolly, Jordan Hand, Matthew Wood, the 77 ride of Aiden Lucas, the 41 of Paul LaCourte, and that number 5 of Josh Crider there, rounding out our top 10 on the racetrack. Dylan Carrier back there in 11th with Grant Applegate there in 12th. Jonathan Gaston, Farrell Robbins, Landon Burbage there, rounding out our top 15 with Ryan Haller, Nathan Brookover, Danny White. Good to see Danny back out there on the racetrack, at least in that 79 ride. Unfortunately, now a lap or multiple laps down here for the 79, and finds himself back in 18th. And then Melvin Brangler out of this race already. Is out in front. Healy was able to take that race lead away from Horvath, so Scott Healy back to the front of the field and leading this race once again here this afternoon. As ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you haven't already, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that follow and subscribe button, as we're going to jump into another quick Peacemaker Gaming Crank It Up here this afternoon. This will be the last one, and then we'll take you right down to the finish of our feature event here this afternoon and let you guys get a good look here and listen in on these drivers and the sights and sounds of Homestead-Miami Speedway. So crank up that volume and cheer on your favorite driver as we crank it up here this afternoon. righty, give it up here for our race leader and all the drivers. A beautiful crank it up session right there, giving us a good look at all the sights and sounds around the speedway here this afternoon. As out in front, it's still Scott Healy. Healy continuing to lead the way here in this one as Healy's out in front, showing these drivers how to get it done here this afternoon. He's looking to try to pick up a big checkered flag here in our playoff race. A non-playoff driver trying to play spoiler here this afternoon by taking an opportunity for one of our playoff contenders to earn some bonus points and taking away their ability to try to lock themselves into our next round of the playoffs here this afternoon. Is about 35 laps of racing action here in this one. We do see drivers starting to head down pit side. Here comes Josh Crider. Here comes Ryan Haller. He cannot make a mistake down pit side. You gotta be picture perfect down up pit road, and not only out there on the racetrack, but pit side is definitely where it's going to be make or break. You do see one driver running into some issues here on pit road entry. Is this number 25 ride, the Maxwell House ride of William Connolly here? Connolly trying to head down pit road, going to try to get onto the binders here and onto the apron. Unfortunately, just having to get onto the brakes a little too much. Slides in. He pulls out Kyle Larson. Oh, no. He pulls the old Kyle Larson move right there and unfortunately smokes the infield or the pit side sand barrels here. Watch this 25 ride doing his best Kyle Larson impression. Unfortunately, smashes into those sand barrels here in iRacing. They do not move, and just like Kyle Larson, potentially catastrophic race-ending contact and damage there. I mean, I don't know who's done it better now. We've had William Connolly do it, we've had Kyle Larson do it, and we've had the official iRacing pace car pull that move off there as well in our championship race here this year. We saw our official pace car hit the sand barriers there on pit road as well. Not here at Homestead like Larson and Connolly did, but they're at Phoenix International Speedway. They smucked into those sand barrels, so tough break right there for him as we do see more drivers starting to head down pit road. Here comes Landon Burbage, here comes Farrell Robbins, both down pit side here. Farrell actually done his pit stop, so the World Oil machine, the World Oil number 76 ride, going to head down pit side. I believe that is the, see if we can get a good look here at the side of this car as let's see here, there we go, the World Oil Environmental Services 2-tank number 76 right now here on the speedway. Always looking fresh, always looking good here, and you know, it's pretty cool. I feel like this is the first time this season that we've had Farrell up in the driver webcams as well. So let's get another look in here at Mr. Farrell Robbins, looking like the salt and pepper Santa Claus up there. He's got them beautiful looking Dale Earnhardt gloves on, the Dale Earnhardt Jr. gloves, the skeleton gloves on, and he's locked in. He's rolling out there on the racetrack. He's been having himself another pretty good run, another pretty good day here for the Old Dogs Racing crew, and the 76 looking good out there on the speedway. Just hoping to see this pit cycle kind of cycle his way on through, work himself back onto the lead lap, and keep himself rolling there on the speedway. Now, normally we're used to seeing Farrell Robbins in the Baskin Robbins paint scheme. We've seen him in that paint scheme quite a few times here this year, but in the World Oil Environmental Services ride here in this one, and looking good out there while doing it. As huge shout out there to Farrell Robbins, huge shout out to all of our drivers having those webcams turned on, giving us good inside looks here and what they're doing. As here comes our race leader, Scott Healy, coming down pit road. Here comes Aiden Lucas, here comes Jordan Handon, Noah Blackwell spinning sideways down on pit road. He is turned around, no caution flag as he is down on pit lane. The car's still rolling here, so that's good news for everybody, but unfortunately Noah Blackwell going for a little loop-de-loop here. Let's take a look, let's play this back and watch this 9 ride. And his pit entry here, just coming in with a whole head of steam, and unfortunately his teammate right there in front of him, the 1 ride of Jordan Hand. Hand's trying to get checked up here down to pit road speed. The 9 right coming in there with a whole lot more. Unfortunately, has to use his back bumper to try to slow down, and maybe teamwork there in that one. Maybe the 1 ride checking up enough to slow the 9 right so he doesn't get a penalty, but I don't know if that's going to work or not for him. But heavy contact, heavy damage, and a tough break right there for Noah Blackwell as he does start to roll back out onto the racetrack there as man, that's definitely not the way he wanted that. Premier Racing Setups, Toyota's number 9 ride day to go here in this one. Second issue we've really seen with them is now we do see Grant Applegate out in front. So Applegate is our race leader here. Applegate going to be able to earn the extra point for leading a lap, which could be, you know, very, very valuable here this afternoon. Trying to earn any of these bonus points, trying to earn some of these points towards working his way into the next round of the playoffs. Obviously missing points in Stage 1 and Stage 2. You know, he had a decent gap, though, between himself and the 5 ride of Josh Crider. I think Crider is still the driver on the hot seat to be the second car eliminated here this afternoon. But I think it's going to be very, very close. I think it's going to be very interesting to really see how this all plays out and where everything ends up, as I do believe Applegate came into this race with virtually, I want to say, 8 points more. Let me take a look here. Where's Applegate? Applegate's at 3,055, and he's at 3,042. Okay, so he came in with 13 points difference here. So 13 points between himself and Josh Crider. So Josh, unfortunately, the one driver on the outside looking in coming into this race. Applegate not getting any stage points. We did see Josh Crider earn 2 stage points there in the second stage this afternoon. So he did earn a couple points, but that's an 11-point difference between himself and the 57 rider Grant Applegate. Now we'll have to wait and see where drivers can end up, where they can finish. As right now, Josh Crider currently scored in the 6th position, where Applegate's back in 13th, so that's about 6-7 points difference right there. I think Josh Crider is either going to have to gain 4 or 5 more spots, and or Grant's going to have to fall down a few more spots on the racetrack to make that a little tighter. And now Dylan Carrier rolling in the 11th position. That's about 5.6 points between him and Josh Crider out there on the racetrack right now. But Dylan did gain quite a few more stage points than the number 5 ride did this evening, as they came in 1 point separating each other between 6th and 7th here in the point standings this afternoon. Being an elimination race, that 1 point is very, very valuable because he is able to stay in that 6th spot. He can work himself into the next round of the playoffs. If you're 6 and above in the point standings after tonight, you move on to the 3rd round of the Premium Stock Car Racing League playoffs. If you're in the 7th or 8th position, you are eliminated here this afternoon. And coming into this race, one of those drivers that were below the cutoff line was Chris Stange. Unfortunately, Chris Stange did not make it here tonight, so he has been eliminated. That is official. He has been eliminated here this afternoon from our playoffs. So a tough break there for Chris Stange after having a great year and a great season. And a tough break there for him. The race is still true and alive for all these other drivers in these points, trying to work their way into that 3rd round and trying to keep their playoff hopes under alive, as right now the 7 drivers that are a part of the playoffs here still on the racetrack, 2 of them have already mathematically worked their way in. Obviously, Brian Underwood, picking up the race win last week, has locked his way in. Now Matthew Wood, with the stage points he's earned today and everything else, mathematically cannot be eliminated here in this round. So Matthew Wood and Brian Underwood both locked into the 3rd round of our playoffs, and that means that there's 5 other drivers that are at risk of potentially not making it through here tonight. And the driver that came in with the worst chances at the back of that leaderboard is that 5 rider Josh Crider. Crider has now worked himself into position number 5 here after moving around Aiden Lucas. So did not get the start he was looking for, but looking for the finish that he's hoping for here this afternoon. But now trying to hold off that 77 ride once again. Landon Burbage, after that contact on the restart, him and the 79 ride of Danny White got together, and unfortunately that sent him back there. But we also see now Jordan Hand back here in the 18th position. I wonder if Hand ended up getting a black flag potentially for the contact between him and Noah Blackwell. The contact that they had down pit side here potentially could have put him down a lap on the racetrack here. We did see Noah Blackwell leave. Where did Noah Blackwell enter the pits? It's not going to show me that. So I wonder if the one ride of Jordan Hand here ends up getting a penalty or something down pit lane after this initial contact here between him and his teammate. Watch the 9 ride back there behind him. Noah Blackwell coming in with a big head of steam, gets into the back end of that one ride, pushes him down across the line there, getting into pit road entry. And I wonder if that would bump his speed up enough to give him a penalty, or if he's down pit side here for maybe a little bit of an extended period of time trying to get this car repaired. And so you're going to see him pull into his pit box. There goes the right side's up. We have seen that repair being done, so that car is back into one good shape, but that left side going up, the crew is going to work. They're trying to get this car fixed up. Yeah, it does look like he ends up with a penalty or something here, a hold down on pit road as he's sitting down there for an extended period of time here, and that's what's put Jordan Hand now deep in this field. So this is a tough one for Jordan Hand, now scored in the 16th position on the racetrack. He is a lap down, but he's the first car a lap down, so he's hoping to see a caution flag to try to work himself back onto the lead lap here this evening. Be interesting to see if he can get that caution flag, if he can work his way back in, if he's earned enough points from last week and enough points here tonight through the stages to work himself into the next round of the playoffs. Now that may be a big open door here for Josh Crider in that 5 ride. That's another driver, another playoff driver that's ran into some issues here that could potentially open the door for him to leapfrog the 1 ride at Jordan Hand and put himself into the next round of the playoffs here this evening, as we do see Danny White running into some issues here. So the 79 ride of Danny White trying to head down pit road here. Let's see if he tries his best. Kyle Larson right here trying to get checked up, and no, he's just going to miss pit road altogether. Unfortunately, has to throw that car into reverse as back it up, Terry. Back it up out there on the racetrack. He does throw it in reverse, gets that car back down pit road there. Luckily enough, no caution flag on the racetrack there for that car being stopped on the speedway and going in reverse there. So it's a good break for everybody except for for Jordan Hand. That was definitely not a good break for him. As Scott Healy out in front leading the way. Brian Underwood there in second. Thomas Horvath in third, and then we see Matthew Wood, Aiden Lucas, Landon Burbidge, Josh Crider, Paul LaCourte there in 8th, and then we see Jonathan Gaston and Farrell Robbins rounding out our top 10. Dylan Carrier back here in 11th, Grant Applegate there in 12th, Ryan Haller, Noah Blackwell, Nathan Brooke over our top 15, then Jordan Hand there in 16th, William Connolly in 17th, Danny White in 18th, and Melvin Brangruer, who's been out of this race since lap 55-ish area, unfortunately still down behind pit wall and off of the racetrack, scored in our 19th position as Scott Healy continues to click these laps off, this time by the start finish line. We will see 15 more laps left to go here this afternoon. 15 more laps of racing action here from the beautiful Homestead-Miami Speedway, and now this is where things could get very, very interesting. Drivers handling, their setups, their tire management may completely change here over these next little bits, over the last 30 laps to this next 15 laps. That sun is going down here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. As the sun sets, things on the racetrack seem to heat up, but the racetrack itself starts to cool down here. Starts to build a little bit more grip, a little bit more speed, but it starts to, wear and tear the tires a little bit differently, and can really, mess with the handling of these race cars. Can really start to make them tighter and tighter and tighter the more that this race becomes nighttime and that track continues to change. The cars continue to change, and we'll have to wait and see who's got that car set up, who's got the handling, who's got the car figured out enough to be able to keep it fast and pointed in the right direction here as the track continues to keep on changing out here on the speedway. Drivers that maybe struggled earlier under the hotter conditions, the slicker racetrack, maybe starting to come alive here later in this race as Matthew Wood now into second here. He's got about 3.6 seconds between himself and our race leader, Scott Healy. That's quite a bit of a gap between Healy and our second place competitor if they're on the speedway, is Brian Underwood. They're in third. Aiden Lucas back there in position number 4. Another good solid run here for the Beyond Detailing 77 ride as he rolls in that 4th position. Thomas Horvath in the NJBDesigns.com ride here in that 5th position. Another one of those NJB grinds. They're in position number 6. That's Landon Burbage. Then Josh Crider here in 7th. One of those playoff hopefuls here this afternoon, rolling in that 7th spot, trying to get everything he can, trying to keep all these other playoff drivers hopefully back there behind him, and enough points saved up for the fine front that he might be able to work his way into the next round of the playoffs. Paul LaCourte there in 8th, Jonathan Gaston 9th, and now Dylan Carrier inside the top 10 here on the racetrack. Farrell Robbins back there in 11th with Grant Applegate there in 12th. Then we see Ryan Haller, Noah Blackwell, Nathan Brookover, and Jordan Hand, our top 16 here on the speedway. William Connolly there in 17th, Danny White in 18th, Brent Brewer back in 19th, and Jordan Hand still the first driver 1 lap down out here on the racetrack, desperately hoping to see a caution flag and an opportunity for him to get the lucky dog and back onto the lead lap where he can try to jump back out there and back into the battle towards the front of the field after an incident down pit road. I do believe giving him a pit road speeding penalty, being held down there, has put him a lap down, and that's definitely going to create a little controversy there for the team here this afternoon as the drivers coming together where 2 teammates, so the that is the Redemption Motorsports crew, Jordan Hand and Noah Blackwell, who made that contact, and unfortunately Jordan's the one who ends up with a pit road penalty there and being held down pit side, especially as he's one of the 3 that are in the playoffs here, one of the 2 in the playoffs, as Noah Blackwell not in the playoffs anymore, but Dylan Carrier, Jordan Hand, both trying to work their way into this next round. Jordan did not need that contact down pit road and did not need this turnout here, as he's now back in the 16th position on the racetrack, and I don't know, biting a caution flag, he may be stuck back there, and that may be a tough spot to be, as that may be enough for, Josh Crider to maybe leapfrog him and knock Jordan Hand out of our playoffs here this afternoon. Scott Healy out in front. Healy leads the way. Matthew Wood there in second. The gap is continuing to grow as now Healy finds himself 4.3 seconds in front of the Racers for Christ number 16 ride here on the speedway. Aiden Lucas there in third. Brian Underwood back in 4th. And then we see Landon Burbage now inside the top 5 as Thomas Horvath slides back to 6. We see Josh Crider there in 7th. Paul LaCourte in 8th. Jonathan Gaston right there in position number 9. Dylan Carrier back there in 10th as you see Jordan Hand actually roll around Jonathan Gaston, our 9th place driver, but unfortunately for Jordan Hand, he is a lap down back in the 16th spot as there's Dylan Carrier. There's Grant Applegate now into 11th. Farrell Robbins there in 12th. Ryan Haller, Noah Blackwell, and Nathan Brookover, our top 15 here on the speedway. And Connolly both down a lap out there on the racetrack, same with Danny White and Brent Brewer down pit side here as the laps continue to get clicked off, and the lead continuing to grow here for the beautiful Coca-Cola Target X number 64 rider Scott Healy. Is Healy out in front looking to try to pick up the checkered flag here today. There's only 6 more laps left to go, ladies and gentlemen. Only 6 more laps of racing action here this evening for these drivers. 6 more laps for them to duke it out, for them to go to battle to see who will put themselves into victory lane here tonight, man. Oh, baby, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be fun and wild to see who will end up in victory lane. I think this 64 ride is going to be one tough cat to beat, but if we see a late race caution flag, how things could change in an instant. Potentially some drivers having extra tires back there behind pit road, some other drivers maybe not, as now we do see Brookover in front of Jordan Hand here, as Brookover did just go a lap down, so Jordan Hand definitely not wanting to see a caution flag as of right now, as that would give the waiver round to the 8 ride and Brookover, and unfortunately Jordan Hand is quite a ways away from that 8 ride, so You would need all these drivers to come down pit road and him to stay out and try to get this lap back with a wave around here, and no longer in that lucky dog position as Brookover currently holding that lucky dog spot on the racetrack as the first car 1 lap down. Is out in front, Scott Healy looking to pick up the dub. Now over 5 seconds between himself and Matthew Wood. Is Wood back there in second. Aiden Lucas there in third. Brian Underwood, Landon Burbage, our top 5. Horvath there in 6 is Crider. Back there in 7th. Trying to keep this 5 right in a position to maybe work his way into the next round of the playoffs. It's going to be very, very tight on points for a lot of these drivers. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see who will come out with our top 6 drivers in the playoffs, in the top 6 to move on through. Scott Healy, one of the non-playoff drivers here, out in front, looking to pick up the win, looking to play playoff spoiler, taking bonus points away from one of these drivers, and also taking some of the, not only the bonus points, but the win away from one of our playoff drivers as well, as he continues to lead the way. Matthew Wood is scored in second. He is one of our playoff drivers. He would love to see the 64 ride disappear off the racetrack and put himself into the race lead. I think Aiden Lucas, one of our non-playoff drivers, he would love that too, as he rolls there in position number 3 and putting the pressure on the back bumper of the 16 ride, as Aiden Lucas trying to put himself into position number 2 here on the speedway. As he works down low, looks like he's going to make that pass on the 16 right, so Matthew Wood will slide back into the 3rd position, and Aiden Lucas up into 2nd here. A great run late in this race for Aiden Lucas, but unfortunately they're about 6 seconds back of our race leader. And Scott Healy down and out of corner number 4 will head down the front straightaway and across the line. He will see that white flag fly, so one more time around here for Scott Healy. Healy at the front of the pack for a lot of laps here this evening, but the most important one is the final one, and he leads us for the final time down the back straightaway here this afternoon. Half a lap left here for Scott Healy to pick up the checkered flag, as he's been virtually the reflection of perfection all evening long. The car to beat here this evening is 64 of Scott Healy at a corner number 4. We'll see the checkered flag fly. Scott Healy came in with a mission, and he's able to accomplish it here this afternoon. Scott Healy picking up the win here this evening, as Aiden Lucas will come home in 2nd, and Matthew Wood will round out our top 3. Brian Underwood back there in 4th. Landon Burbage in 5th, and then we see Thomas Horvath and Josh Crider rounding out our top 7. Did Crider do enough to work himself into the next round of the playoffs? We see Dylan Carrier back here in 10th. Did he get enough stage points? Can he work his way into the next round? Same with Grant Applegate. Does he have enough here in this one? Jordan Hand back in 16th. Did he have enough stage points and enough of a points gap between himself and the 5 ride, the 88 ride here this afternoon, to keep himself a part of our playoffs here this afternoon? We will try to figure out all the points here. We'll see if the officials can give us those points updates here quick enough before the end of the broadcast to give you guys the update on who has been eliminated and who will make their way through here in this elimination race. Is Scott Healy going to celebrate down here on the front straightaway after picking up a big, big win here this afternoon? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up for the 64 of Scott Healy here in this one. Alrighty, as Healy burning down the house here in Homestead-Miami Speedway, we'll get ready to pull him and our top 3 up and into the broadcast booth here for their post-race interviews. As man, what a run, what a race, and what a drive here this afternoon for our top 3 drivers. As hey, it's Kev says, not the best finish, but glad I finished top 15. Listen, Mr. Holler, beautiful looking paint scheme, beautiful looking ride out there, and a beautiful run for you, brother. I mean, we saw you getting into the wall a couple times. It was definitely a tough race, a lot of green flag laps, but being able to still bring it home in one piece and inside the top 15 and still on the lead lap, man, it's never something to hang your head about. That is for certain, especially with the talent level out there on the racetrack, man. Coming home on the lead lap, definitely always a upside here, as we're waiting for our race winner to head into the waiting room here. See if we can try to slowly drag him into this here. Get him in there quickly. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up here for our race winner, Scott Healy, as we'll pull him up into the Peacemaker broadcast booth here this afternoon. Hey, Scott, it's Aaron up here on the Peacemaker broadcasting booth. Do you get a copy?
Yes, sir. How's it going, man?
Not too bad, Scott, man. What a run. What a drive. You had a mission here this afternoon, and you were able to accomplish it, man. A lot of drivers came in. They knew that you were going to be that driver to beat here this afternoon, and you proved them all right as you were the car to beat here tonight, as you were able to lead majority of the laps, winning both those stages, and then parking yourself up here in victory lane at Homestead-Miami Speedway, man. Take us back through this race, and how does it feel to be back up in victory lane here with the Premium Stock Car Racing League?
It's one of my favorite tracks, so it kind of comes natural to me. I know this track's hard on other people. Other people it's easy. Um, in practice, nobody knew that the bottom was quicker, and then once they saw me do it, they all tried to do it. So it was all a guessing game in practice. But the first run, I kind of screwed myself. I ran a little harder than I should have. The second run, I felt like I did the same thing, even though I took it a little bit easier. Third run, I knew for a fact I had it. Once I went into that pit and saw I had a 3-second gap in second place, I was like, yeah, it's win and come home unless the caution comes out, and then that's a whole different story from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Late in this race, we're getting a little bit nervous of that caution flag and what would have been the game plan here late in this race if the yellow flag were to come out. And I don't know if you had any tires back there still behind pit wall, but how are you going to be able to try to hold these guys off there late in this one with that caution flag if it was displayed?
Man, just it's either step on a gas or I see God at the end of the race. I ain't lifting, so it's yeah, it's just one of those things where you have to either go or go home. Everyone's gonna try their hardest to get around you, be faster than you at the last two laps before the checker comes out on green white checkered or something like that. So it's like I said, it's either go hard or go home, and I was gonna go hard if that was the case.
Yeah, absolutely. One of our non-playoff drivers here this afternoon, so really nothing to lose, but a whole lot to gain, and that's another checkered flag, another trophy to hang into the trophy room here for you, Scott, as you're able to get the dub here again at Homestead-Miami Speedway, man. Who would you like to thank for another great run, another strong performance here this afternoon?
I'd like to thank you for bringing on a broadcast. Everyone who brings these races together, friends, family, my girlfriend, Team Conti, everyone that's out there watching, all the drivers that come in to race, championship drivers. Hope they have some good luck during the last couple rounds, and hopefully I can I can spoil it and try to win every race this couple last races of the season. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'd like to thank everybody for everything. So that's about it.
Absolutely, brother. Well, Scott, congratulations, man. A great run, a great race, and a great dub here this afternoon. Hopefully enjoy the rest of your evening, and don't party too hard down there in Victory Lane, but we'll see you out there in the next one, brother, and hopefully see you right back up here and in Victory Lane.
Thanks, man. Have a good night.
You too. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, it's Scott Healy picking up the win here this afternoon. The 64 right up and into victory lane here in this one. As his Kev says, appreciate the support, man. Thanks for doing these streams. See y'all next week. I got you, brother. 100%, man. We can't wait to see you back out there on the racetrack as well. Can't wait to see that 99 right continue to get faster and faster week after week after week, brother. I'm sure one of these nights we're going to see you up here into the broadcast booth, man. We're going to see you up here in victory lane and picking up a dub. It may not be this season, but maybe next season or the season after that. But you keep on getting the seat time. You keep running these races. You're just going to keep on getting better and better and better. And we can't wait to see what the 99 right can do. And can't wait to see you up here getting a solid finish and a solid run one of these nights. But ladies and gentlemen, we have gotten the official point standings update here after this race, Homestead-Miami Speedway. And you guys all know we talked about it here throughout this race. The playoff point situation here with this being an elimination race. we already knew Chris Stange was eliminated here this afternoon. So it was down to one more driver being eliminated. And unfortunately for Josh Crider, he came in 1 point below that cutoff line. And unfortunately, after tonight's race, he will still be below that cutoff line, and he will not advance into our third round of the playoffs here this afternoon. Looks like he's about 7 points behind Dylan Carrier here for that final spot in the playoffs here, moving into round number 3. So I think that's a really big hit right there for the number 5 ride, man, as he looked strong, looked solid out there on the speedway, just could not find the track position or the runs he was looking for there in stage 1 or stage 2, where we saw Dylan having a pretty good first stage, a pretty solid second stage there as well. And I think with the 1 point advantage going into that, the extra stage points that he was able to get in stage 1 and 2, compared to Josh Crider, unfortunately, was just too much built up there for Dylan Carrier, where Crider could not catch him there. If Crider could have won this race, could have leapfrogged him still and knocked him out of the playoffs and put Crider into the playoffs here. But unfortunately, Josh Crider and Chris Stange both being eliminated here this afternoon from the playoffs. But that means that Dylan Carrier, Grant Applegate, Jordan Hand, Landon Burbidge, Brian Underwood, and Matthew Wood will all transfer through into our third round of the playoffs, where we're going to have 2 more races. 2 more drivers after these 2 races will be eliminated. And then we'll go down to our championship 4 here to finish off the season, man. So it's coming down to a close in a quick hurry, but nonetheless, the racing action is not over here. We are going to see these guys continue to duke it out for this third stage and going into that final race of the season, as we'll get ready to pull in our second place finisher here of tonight's race. One of our non-playoff drivers, the 77 rider Aiden Lucas, putting on a show here tonight, man, having himself a great run in the Beyond Detailing ride. Let's pull Aiden up here into the broadcast booth. Hey Aiden, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. Do you get a copy?
How you doing, Aaron?
Not too bad, man. What a run, what a race for you, though, man. The 77 ride again hooked up here this afternoon, showing a lot of speed, a lot of pace here, and, being able to battle here all night long up inside the top 4, top 5 here, really, making some late race moves and working yourself around Matthew Wood to put yourself into position number 2. Scott Healy wasn't here this afternoon. You be up here in victory lane, man. Take us back through this race. What's going through your mind right now, coming home with another solid second place run?
It was just about trying to learn how to manage these tires here. This track was really slick. There was no grip anywhere, but you had to go find the grip, and once you got it, it was nice to you, but you couldn't overstep. Once I slid through my box, though, I think end of stage 2, I thought the race was kind of over. And then we got that short caution where we stayed out and then everyone else got tires. So that kind of helped us out, put us on a different strategy, and ended up being the right one.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple different strategies being played out there at that time, as we saw a couple early caution flags there to start this final stage, and then the long green flag run to finish this one off. But you kind of had to go through a lot of different, track changes there as well. As the sun was out, the track was hot early on in this race, and then as the sun kind of went down, you started to learn a little bit more out there on the speedway. Really seemed like this 77 ride came to life.
Oh yeah, as soon as the nighttime hit, the car started to feel alive, was able to drive it forward. Helped we had a little bit of a tire advantage, so it kind of looked a little bit better than it maybe was. But yeah, that was a fun last run there, trying to run everybody down.
Absolutely. Well, you run everybody but Scott Healy down here this afternoon. Aiden, you parked that 77 ride up here on the podium once again. Who would you like to thank for another solid run and solid performance here this afternoon?
Thank Brian and Josh for everything they do. Thank you, Aaron, for always putting on a great show for us. And thank you to Beyond Detailing. If you're in the Bay, need your car detailed, go hit them up.
Absolutely, brother. Well, Aiden, congratulations on the great run, the great performance, and hopefully we'll see you get a couple more good finishes like this here to finish off the season, and maybe one of these nights finally see you up here in victory lane.
Oh, fingers crossed, brother. You have a good night now.
You as well. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, give it up there for Aiden Lucas as he comes home there in position number 2. A great run, a solid performance there. Before that, Beyond Detailing 77 machine, as we'll get ready to pull in our third place driver. Came into this race as the points leader, and he's going to be leaving this race as the points leader, as Matthew Wood will advance into the next round of the playoffs, and he'll be able to use those bonus points that he's accumulated over the season once again to his advantage, and that should give him quite a bit of points difference between first and second in the points here going into our third round of the playoffs. Now he's hoping to not have to use those or have to bank on those, but let's get him up here for another solid run, another solid performance here for Mr. Wood. Hey Matthew, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. You get a copy?
Yup.
Matthew, man, another solid run, another solid performance for you in this one, man. Obviously, points really not an issue here for you tonight in this one. Having a good gap between yourself and that 6th and 7th place positions where you really weren't in the bubble. You basically just had to show up and be able to maybe just get a couple points, not even probably pretty much locked into the next round. So you come in, you still have a good run, a good performance out there on the racetrack, obviously trying to learn as much as you can, try to keep yourself from getting rusty out there, and being able to run this race and have a good performance like you did here tonight to continue to build that momentum and show the strength and resiliency here that a champion has as you continue your championship hunt into that third round of the playoffs.
Yeah. I've been pretty hard on myself the past couple of weeks. I just haven't been up to what I should be. Haven't been running like I should be anywhere. I flat out sucked. But tonight I couldn't figure it out. Of course, I mean, I hate this track. It's literally one of my worst tracks ever. And then I saw Scott got in here, and I immediately knew there's no way anybody was beating Scott. And I was right. I fell back to like 14th. No, I fell back to like 18th, I believe. I came into fixed damage after Noah made contact and fell all the way back. Saved my tires, got up to 7th, and then I followed them all the way up to the lead. And from there, I just wanted to stick behind Scott. Aiden's had some awful luck the past couple of weeks. And both weeks that I feel that he should have, in my opinion, won, he's came up short, and without Scott being here making his one-off, like once every month appearance, he would have been in victory lane again. So 3 weeks in a row he could have been, but he's been denied by some of the most random reasons, really. I wanted to give him second. He was gaining on me. He ran a great race. I just kind of moved over, and then me and him had the idea on the last lap, we're going to run the outside, because all week we had ran the outside and it was faster than the bottom, but then the track was like 2 times hotter than it had been all week in any practice session, and the top never worked once. So we wanted to put that work in somehow, and then he braked early going into 3, and I absolutely punted him to the moon. I think his rear bumper is still on Mars at this point.
Absolutely. Well, you guys still ran faster laps than Scott there on that final lap, but Scott didn't really need to worry too much here in this one, as he said. Early in this race, we talked about it when I was in the Discord earlier. The consensus was that the 64 run was going to be the car to beat, and he proved you guys right, as he was definitely the deserving winner here this afternoon, leading a lot of laps. But we saw you able to out-qualify him and then lead some laps here yourself, and being able to kind of rebound from some, issues out there on the speedway and bringing that 16 right back home here in the third position. How do you feel about your performance overall out there on the racetrack?
I mean, of course, I could have done better. The past few weeks, I could have done better. But my problem right now is I am completely and utterly worn out. I ran the 8 hours of Fuji earlier, ended up doing out of, I don't even know. I ran 6 hours. 6 out of the 8 hours, I did 205 laps. Our team won. I'm happy, but I'm gone. I'm not racing again for another week. I am done with racing for a while. I can't, man. I couldn't feel the bottom half of my legs, dude.
Yeah, that's a lot of laps. That's a lot of time in the cockpit, behind the wheel, and focused out there on the racetrack, man. But you're able to stick with this one, able to finish it off, and come home with another solid third place run, man. And now heading into that third round of the playoffs, obviously, again, having a pretty good point lead here between yourself and second place here going into this third round. How do you get to tackle these next two races, knowing that they're, probably fairly strong races for you? I'm assuming you're going to be pretty good, pretty fast, like usual at, Nashville and Michigan, man. How do you feel going into this third round and trying to make your way into that season finale in the championship four at Vegas?
Well, from what I've heard, the points reset, which, I mean, that's okay. Consistency is going to be what matters. But I don't know how Nashville is going to fare. I don't know about Nashville. I ran one race here in the trucks. It was probably the worst track I've ever driven, but then again, my setup was kind of awful. Um, but we'll see. It probably is different now, but again, it kind of falls into this category. Like old Atlanta, it's just a string of bad tracks for me, I guess. And then we go to Michigan, which Michigan's going to be one of those drafting tracks, but I feel like I can be pretty good, I hope. Um, but Vegas, I'm looking forward to Vegas. I think I'll really, if I can get to the championship, hopefully I can finally get the inaugural league championship, hopefully. But either way, it's been a good season.
Absolutely. Definitely been a heck of a season, a heck of a run so far for you. And be interesting to watch over the next three races and see if you can pick up that championship. I know if they were doing the Winston Cup points style, you'd probably be out in front by quite a bit right now. But Matthew, another good run here tonight, another good race, and being able to keep your playoff hopes alive here this evening from Homestead-Miami Speedway. Who would you like to thank for a great run, great drive here tonight?
Well, thank Josh and Brian, like Aiden said, for what they do. Thank the team, especially Scott. He gave us some tips. He's basically a pro, so it's good to get tips from him. Um, Thank you for what you do. Thank the Lord for being with me.
Absolutely, brother. Well, Matthew, we look forward to seeing you back out there on the racetrack next week and see you in there in the playoffs for our third round here and trying to work yourself into that championship four at Vegas in a few couple weeks. And hopefully we'll see you, maybe picking up that championship, but maybe a couple more wins before then to walk yourself into that next round, into that championship round, and then all the crazy action that we know can unfold in a championship race, and hoping for the best for not only yourself but for all these drivers. But after a good run like this here tonight, maybe a little bit of momentum being built back up for you, and maybe some good finishes getting ready to string together to try to finish off what's been a pretty incredible season.
Absolutely, we're gonna try our best, and I got a championship to run in for my Friday night league too, so that's interesting.
Beauty. Well, good luck in that one, and good luck in this one, brother. We can't wait to see you back up there on the racetrack next week.
All right, thank you.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, give it up there for Matthew Wood as Matthew comes home there in position number 3. A solid run, a solid drive, and performance there for Mr. Wood here this evening. Unfortunately, though, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for us here tonight. The racing action coming to a close, but I can't thank you guys enough for tuning in. Everyone coming in with the likes, the comments, the shares, man. I appreciate each and every single one of you guys, and cannot wait to see you guys in the next one as we will be back live tomorrow afternoon, 4 o'clock Eastern Time. The Outcast Racing League will go back to battle here tomorrow evening, and then following that, a little later on at night, 8:30 Eastern, it's the Q West Modified Series, and that is going to be an absolutely amazing show. Some of the best Northeastern Modified drivers going to battle here on iRacing, and it's going to be a ton of fun, man. We're going to have a huge field, a lot of drivers, a lot of fans in the stands cheering those drivers on, and hopefully I see you guys there for their first race of the season as the coming on board. New series, new season here for Peacemaker Gaming to broadcast, and should be a lot of fun. Now, there are a lot of Quebecers in that league, so I'm probably going to fumble a lot of names, and a lot of words, and a lot of conversations there, but it's going to be fun nonetheless. But listen, I cannot thank you guys enough for tuning in, and cannot wait to see you guys back in here tomorrow night for some amazing, amazing racing, and I'll check y'all later. Peace out for now, baby. Peace out for now, ladies and gentlemen.
Uh-oh! 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 Everybody! Uh-oh! 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 Engines roaring loud and proud. Track is hot, fans are wild. Speeds are climbing high and fast. Racing dreams are built to last. Drivers ready, hearts are strong. Victory feels like a song. Wheels they spin, rubber burns. Corners come and swiftly turn. Drivers ready, hearts are strong. Victory feels like a song. Wheels they spin, rubber burns. Corners come and swiftly turn. Race to the finish line. Feel the rush, it's time to shine. Pushing metal, pure and fine. In this premium racing grind. Race to the finish line. Feel the rush, it's time to shine. Pushing metal, pure and fine. In this premium racing grind. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Grind. Uh-oh. Racing grind. Pit crew ready, tools in hand. Every second by a strand. Fuel and tires, quick change. Back to track and destined range. Pit crew ready, tools in hand. Every second by a strand. Strand. Fuel and tires, quick change. Back to track and destined range. Race to the finish line. Feel the rush, it's time to shine. Pushing metal, pure and fine. In this premium racing grind. Race to the finish line. Feel the rush, it's time to shine. Pushing metal, pure and fine. In this premium racing grind. Uh-oh. Grind. Uh-oh. Racing grind. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Race to the finish line. Feel the rush, it's time to shine. Pushing metal, pure and fine. In this premium racing grind. Race to the finish line. Feel the rush, it's time to shine. Pushing metal, pure and fine. In this premium racing grind. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Racing grind. Uh-oh. 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 Everybody. Uh-oh. 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 Engines roaring loud and proud. Track is hot, fans are wild. Speeds are climbing high and fast. Racing dreams are built to last. Drivers ready, hearts are strong. Victory feels like a song. Wheels they spin, rubber burns. Corners come and swiftly turn. Race to the finish line. Feel the rush, it's time to shine. Pushing metal, pure and fine. In this premium racing grind. Race to the finish line. Feel the rush, it's time to shine. Pushing metal.